All right. So yeah, the gang's all here. This is the mastermind group with some of my favorite people. And we're about to ask a question, as Joseph James has said, that this is a deep question. And the question is, so why do you matter? And I'm interested in hearing it from two different perspectives that Radha helped me come to this conclusion that you can kind of look at it from a spiritual, a more higher perspective, and then you can look at it at a more human perspective. And I think both of these perspectives are valid and interesting. So I'm gonna just go ahead and ask. And if anyone wants to start, it's all yours. If not, I will do my best to answer. And I've been thinking about it, to be honest. I don't think I have the best answer, but I have a answer. So would anybody like to explain, or yes, explain to us why you matter? Ooh, I'm trying to. All right, I got the gallery view. All right, going once, going twice, three times. All right, we're gonna have to cut that pause out. So for me, I think when I first think of it, I think I'm just gonna go from a spiritual perspective. Is I matter because I am the universe living, experiencing itself as a human being, and I believe that I am, as I believe Rumi put it, I'm going to mess this up, but I'm not one raindrop. I'm not one drop in the ocean. I'm the ocean in one drop, which is a really cool quote. And I try to conceptualize this that we all are connected in some infinitively unimaginable way. And I think that the fact that I have thoughts and I have a body and I have a heart and I have lungs, just from the ground level, is like so unbelievably that all this works together. Like that alone is important. I think the fact that we can breathe, like every breath, is extremely important. So the fact that I can do that, the fact that I can be here and talk to you guys, I matter. And I think that the fact that I'm given this blessed, amazing opportunity to live life and to learn, and specifically to like walk on this path that feels very purposeful for me to help show the world and myself that it is possible to be a human being of integrity, of honor, of love, of bravery, and to walk the hero's journey from, for me, it was like deep depression and suicide, to where I'm at right now is like happiness and joy and energy. And so I think that's important. And so that's my spiritual side. And from a human perspective, it's hard for me to not like relate myself to other people. Like I matter because of my friendships and my family and my laughter and my relationship with my kitty, which I see Catherine has the same. And I laugh because I have the capability to use my words and my being to help someone who's going through a really hard time smile and get a new perspective and potentially see the world differently. Have the possibility to just share love with beautiful people and try to help the world move away from this like egocentric greed paradigm to like a balanced, healthy, vibrant communal paradigm. And that seems important. And yeah, I just think life is super duper extremely important. And I haven't always treated it as important. Probably the majority of my life, I haven't. And I know, wow, well, what came up is like, especially y'all have definitely played a part in helping me see how important life is for me and for everybody. So that's cool. That was a good thought to pop up. And yeah, that's the best I could do. That's why I think I matter. If anybody would like have any comments or anything that comes up from that, please give me what you got. If not, why do you matter? What a weird question to answer. It's crazy. Good luck,
I was,
y'all.
I was thinking like, what if we don't matter?
Ooh.
Like, cause like, who says like what's special? What is special? Like across like the entire universe. Like, you know how you ever see that thing, that pale blue dot thing, like where the Carl Sagan thing, where they just draw back and you see like everything, like the magnitude of it all, and then you realize it's like, oh my god, it's like cosmically speaking, like this is like just like a second, like a blip, and like everybody's like going to war, but like on a cosmic scale, like all of it kind of means nothing. It's just like something just go bloop. That's like as much as like everything we do. It's like a drop in the bucket. But if we're all connected, that does make it more significant. Like if we're all connected, if we tie into it, like you were saying, yeah, no. So, but who knows?
Would anybody like to answer that question? What if we don't matter? Oh, let's.
So I wanted to chime in because I personally like I waffle in between like everything matters and like nothing matters. But like some of the, I know like a lot of times when it comes to whether it's like sports or life, we like to play like the what if game. If this person hadn't got hurt, then X, Y, Z. And we can break our lives down to I crossed the street at this time, which made this car stop. And so if I'm not there, that moves differently. And it's like little things like that where it is a part of a whole. And it's like something you say to somebody can trigger an action that has, just a ripple effect on other people and things around us. So I think it is interesting. It's so many of us in this universe that we know about, and I think that's the crazy part is that it's just. And but to Joe James's point about going and looking at the big picture, I think what matters is just our own individuality because there are billions of people. There are people that share the same beliefs, customs, and all that stuff, but we still have a unique fingerprint, literally, on the world, and that has to matter for something, I imagine.
So I'll go next. I think from a spiritual perspective, everything that has life matters. And so I include myself in that. I don't think necessarily that means I matter more than something else, but it just means that the very spark of divinity, which is in each of us, that makes us relevant. And so that to me is from a spiritual perspective. And it's actually the only way I could think of me, as being like when the saying says we're all one. Well, if I look at myself from a personal personality or ego level, that doesn't make any sense. Because it seems to me that we're all like flowers. If you look at a petal of any flower and they're all the same species, every one of them has different markings. There are no two flower petals that are exactly the same. And I think of that when I think of human beings. I think each of us have our own flavor, our own experiences. And I have no idea if I matter to other people. I mean, I project that I matter, but I don't really know if I matter. I know how I live my life matters to me. So that's what I know. It matters to me that I do everything I can to the best of my ability to realize and live in my true nature, because I actually believe that's where I can make the greatest contribution to humanity. So it's like, even though it seems like it's very selfish because it's very self-oriented, I feel that as our consciousness raises, a lot of the issues that we have between each other and amongst each other just disappear. And their irrelevancy becomes more obvious. And so that it matters to me how I live. And if I am living in a certain way of harmony and love and peace and truth, then I feel I matter, because everything contributes to everything else. Just like if you walk into a bar, it has a very different energy than if you walk into a church. It's a very different vibration. So we're all affected by those vibrations. So my responsibility is to check my own vibration. And I don't imply by that it means that I always have to be positive. That's just a rule. Okay, that's an irrelevant rule. It's really just an ego attack. So I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that I see myself as a human being, and what my purpose in life is to live to my highest potential. And therefore, that allows me to be in touch with the fact that I matter, and what I do matters, and what I say matters, and how I treat myself and other matters.
I appreciate what everyone has said so far, which I think was beautiful. And I think that the fact that you're recording, Ian, I think it's a positive, as long as everyone's cool with it, I think it's really a positive, because I think there's been a lot of great things said already. I'm going to touch on what Joe James said about the big picture from which, it can be seen in a way we don't matter. And I think that we can use both ends to our psychic advantage. I think the part about where we don't matter is actually positive, because I don't have to get, it's like I don't have to get so attached and so grandiose, egotistical. In a big sort of big picture cosmic sense, there's a perspective from which I don't matter, but that can be positive. You don't have to matter in that, from the perspective of 4.6 billion years that the Earth has been here, and so on. So I think that can be used as a positive. On the other side, I think it can be a positive all the ways in which, speaking for myself, I do matter. I focus that on what use I have for other people. Frankly, I might have trouble seeing how I matter if I was bedridden and taking resources in a nursing home. That's an issue for another day. But as long as I can be clearly useful for other people, that speaks for itself as far as I'm concerned. And since some of my activities are kind of self-centered, like playing golf is not necessarily a very useful activity for other people. It's more for me. But I'm trying to include in my life, or grow in my life, more things that are thoughtful towards others. And I feel like that makes my life very much matter. But I guess in conclusion, I would say that I think what's working for me best right now is sort of downsizing my ego, being present with what happens and with other people, and finding little ways that I can hear people better, listen to them better, maybe give some feedback, maybe do something useful for people. I think that's enough for me right now where I'm at.
So I'll hop in and answer the question this time. From a spiritual perspective, I believe that I matter as like part of the all, part of the greater good, and to be like a good steward of what that stands for, love, service to others, service to self, all that good stuff, just to continue to push and encourage everything forward. I know Raha just said everything doesn't have to be positive all the time, but to have that intention to, carry with you and take and affect lives around us, on that perspective. And I think I said it, but I think like love is a big thing because it's so impactful and powerful how it can change people and situations, just from like a minute of you deciding to care about somebody, to do an action and listen. It can be very like transformative. So I think that's the spiritual aspect of it. The human aspect, um, I believe I matter as a part of a cog in a, just a wheel in another system of wheels where it's like I have a duty to, whether it's, produce something in society, to um, whatever it may be, the things we do in and out, that kind of, it's about an us thing, and whatever's being contributed to the overall greater good. I don't know where that sentence was going, but I think that's from the human perspective, just to be involved, to be actively like pushing forward and care about something bigger than yourself.
So, quick question. Imagine like if an asteroid was headed for the Earth, right? President comes on, says like everybody's gonna die. You can't really launch anything off the Earth because like the blast is going to destroy anything in the radius. So nobody, this is it. All of us are gone. The Earth is gone. Like it's going to be gone in 24 hours. How would you answer that question? Like, do you matter? Because everything's going to be gone in like 24 hours.
Well, as long as I have the capacity to go inside, not everything is gone.
Oh,
If I can go inside to this place of stillness and reconnect with it, from that place, my physical body is just doesn't have the same meaning as it does when I'm not in that place of stillness. And so then what's going on around me is going on around me, but it doesn't really affect that place if I have the capacity to keep my attention there. And that's always available to everybody, no matter what's going on in the world.
well, I'm looking at Bill, Catherine, and Tamar. We've yet to hear from you guys. If you don't want to contribute, that is totally fine. But I'm going to throw the potential. And if not, we'll sit in silence for 5 seconds and someone else can hop in.
I'll talk. What people have been saying just says it all for me. I mean, there's nothing really much I can add. I just, I guess try to give my own flavor to it by saying that, I mean, there's the struggle in a way is to make the experience match the the idea in the head and in the mind, and saying, yeah, I matter, but do I actually feel that I matter? And I know that the way that you matter is to, as people have been saying, you get in touch with that divine spark within you, and and of course I do that to some degree, and then there are times when I don't. And then I remember and I'm pulled back to that. And so it's a question of just keep going back to it and bring that awareness into my own self, so that I'm really there, and I'm experiencing the reality that I matter. It's no longer just an idea that I do, or I would like to believe that I matter, because that was, as a belief, that's never been so easy for me. And now that I have a more spiritual outlook, I know that old belief is not true, but to get to, but the real thing for me is being in that state where I actually know that I matter, being present to that, being, as people have been saying, not being in my ego, not living out of fear, not living out of the need to prove myself or to show that I'm worthy, or all of these things that have been dealing with my whole life. Okay, so yeah, so that's the spiritual and the human together, I guess. Yeah.
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I've been so excited for this topic since it came up the other week. And I just, as much as I tried to think about it, I just know my answer is going to be long-winded regardless. So I apologize for the rambling. But again, yeah, I think you guys you've all said such like beautiful things, and every one of them is something that's crossed my mind as well. And like Bill said, I'll just try and like offer my own flavor on the ideals, but spiritually I agree and with the idea that I have an intrinsic significance because I am alive and am part of the living and breathing entity, which is all living things. I'm one piece of it, one flower in the meadow, so to speak, to use Radha's example. And the meadow wouldn't be a meadow without every single flower present, and it all serves its purpose. So there's intrinsic value just in the fact that you exist. If you didn't have some kind of value, you wouldn't have been created, period. So you can trust that you're here for a reason, if you're here at all, or if anything is alive. And then in a more personal sense, I grew up in a really like military and athletic household. So we were extremely like result oriented people. The outcome equals the value. If there's no outcome, or if it's not great, then it has no value. And it was difficult to not apply that to myself as a human being. And I remember in like my 20s, whenever my dad would say like, I love you or I'm proud of you, I would just be like, why? I haven't done anything yet. Like it feel like that's embarrassing to even hear those words because I don't have any, like, what are you even talking about? What are you proud of? I haven't, like I don't matter yet kind of thing. And I think that resulted in a bit of like one of the things that I was like, okay, the way that you matter the most is by helping people, right? And so I think I developed a bit of a savior complex. I did a lot of volunteer work and missionary work and mentorship and things like that that felt right, but still off because obviously it was just ultimately rooted in ego. And then a couple years ago, I stopped caring about like doing the right thing in order to be significant. And I just let myself like exist every day and follow my like intuitive desires without judging them, just exploring them. And as soon as I call that like the time where I actually began living for the first time. I was like 29 or something. And ever since then, I've felt important every day for no reason other than I'm actually finally alive and living. And as I followed those intuitions and prompts each day, they naturally led me to different experiences and different people and different conversations where I felt so filled by love from those moments and those people. And I also gave them whatever it is they needed in that moment. Our conversations were so mutually edifying and loving and encouraging and strengthening that I think I discovered that like purpose and significance are tied in together, that as long as you're following your like authentic like intuition and impulses with fullness and like fearlessness and like love, that they lead you to being significant in life and in others' lives and in within your own. You become a gift and you learn how to receive and give gifts just naturally. You don't like do it because I'm going to say this thing because I hope it encourages them. You just let yourself be, and you naturally become the embodiment of encouragement, love, peace, and joy, and whatnot. So I think that's on a personal level how I feel. Why I matter is because I've finally allowed myself to just be and matter, and then that gives a natural like offering to myself and to the others around me.
Joe, you
Y'all
want to
just
go?
stuff. Yeah, y'all all say deep stuff. I don't even know how to respond after y'all say it. I'll just be like, it's like but I mean, like, that last, I should still put like a little bow on that doomsday analogy I gave or whatever. I would say the only thing that would give me like the sense that I mattered is to hold my loved ones in like the last moments, like with every bit of time that we had left, and that would be like, it would just brace for impact, and that would be like that's like the one thing that kind of gives me like some comfort, like would be that, for the time that I had, the last moments, I was with the people I love.
So great answers and great questions and imagery, especially with the last one, Joe. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I liked it all. I don't know that I'm gonna add a question, I think, and I'm just gonna tell you what I think about. So jump into my mind for a second. What I think about is I just think of the word matter because I love to think about words and where they come from. And matter is one of those words that means two opposite things. It means like material and it means immaterial, right? The matter. I have an important matter for you. It's immaterial and vice versa. So I love words like that because I think it's totally insane that we create them, and there must be a reason. So I just think it makes me think of thoughts or things, and us being both material and immaterial. So that's sort of one thought I keep having. And another thought I keep having is thinking about being one. I realized a few months ago that in Hebrew, the word for one has the same root as the word for together. That's also the same and opposite, right? Like everything and then just one. It's pretty cool. And then I told that to somebody, and then he said, oh, it's the same kind of in English, unity and unit. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that comes to mind as like in terms of how I think about it philosophically or spiritually. But the question I was thinking about is the same. So the same woman that asked Ian that question, like, why do you matter? Asked me a question. Her question was, what if you couldn't move and were paralyzed? What could you offer the world, and what would be your purpose? And it's a little bit of Ken touched on that a little bit. And I got to meditate on that. So, and I also got to live it a little bit because I was immobile for 3 months and it was terrifying. However, during that time, all I could really do is start a consistent meditation practice. And also what I found myself doing was looking on YouTube for videos of people that were also, unable to move, immobile, bedridden, and hearing their stories. And it was so inspiring to me because I thought they were the most powerful people on earth. I still kind of do. I mean, the things that they deal with daily are insane. It's like utter surrender. So she posed that question, and that's kind of in a way, why do I really matter? You know, if I couldn't contribute all my like, oh, I'm good at this thing, or I'm good at this thing, I can, I don't know, XYZ. And all I could think of was like, my peace would inspire other people to have peace. And that's what I felt when I watched those videos of those people. Their power in their circumstance was so powerful to me. I would just lay down in bed and cry and just thinking about, wow, these people are amazing. So that's really my life purpose, is peace, searching for it, praying for it, meditating, trying, failing a lot, all the time, every day. But yeah, I think it's an interesting, like, similar question. So if anyone wants to play with that, you know, it's heavy. If you couldn't move and contribute all the physicality in your life, what could you offer other people? That's it.
I feel like the most valuable gifts, or if it really is a gift at all, it's somewhere rooted in love and peace and joy and all those traits, specifically love. And like, so to offer somebody something, whether it's words of affirmation or acts of kind of like a physical act or a gift or a service or something, is rooted in that the fact that you is rooted in like the love that you have for the person, right? And I feel like I read a lot of literature based on like that happiness and joy and love and these things that we offer aren't like, those are expressions of the thing that we have, that eventually, ideally, the goal is to just be the state of that thing. And so simply your presence becomes the gift. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I mean, like, I hope eventually my goal is to become a state, not an act of happiness or kindness or love, so that everything that I do is sorry. I've had too much coffee already. Is inherently significant. And I think it just becomes so much more difficult to, like, I think the challenge becomes greater when other like more accessible forms of offering that are taken away, aka immobility. Does that make sense? Because perhaps now you feel like you have less like ability to express it because you can't move or act or do or serve. So the only other option is to become a state of that thing, which is hopefully ideally the goal all along anyways. I don't know. That's just an idea that went through my head.
You know, like there is, if you were on an island, right, and the one person that you were with, they completely lost the ability to move and this and that one person, the only thing you did, like, you took care of them, you did everything for them to live, right? And they couldn't do much, you know. If they were to pass away and you were alone and it was just you would be devastated. Like, and so, not in the sense of, I hate to say it, like, but everybody, I think that's the thing that gives everybody like value, is that we're not meant to be alone.
Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't have a whole lot of value. But that's okay.
I was going to say, I like the way this conversation is trending towards the core of the matter, as per the example that Joe James just brought up and the questions that everyone has raised, or many have raised. I do think, notwithstanding what I said about being in a nursing home and not being able to do anything earlier, that as Radha and Ian and others touched on earlier, there is absolutely a core value in just life and being. And I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't throw in one thing, which is kind of personal to me, but I study A Course in Miracles, which is a spiritual system, and I don't want to, push that on other people or promote it in any way, but I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, because there's a whole philosophy and teaching in there that really does address these issues. And as I say, I'm not comfortable trying to encapsulate what this book and this teaching says in this short forum, but I just feel like, since that's something that's meaningful to me, that I do every day and is infused in my life and does address the issue of how we matter, it would be really remiss of me not to share that with the group.
Well, first of all, I just gotta say, wow. Yeah, as far as the whole experience, I'm like totally speechless. I do want to try to answer some of these questions real quick. Like there's so many good ones. Tamar, your question about, if you're paralyzed and you couldn't move in any way. The first thing that came up is like, I've been kind of learning how when other people help you, it's actually helping the person that is helping you, if that makes sense. And I know we've talked about that, but like, just example with Wendy, she's my therapist. She's been working with me for 4 months, and she has this she has this skill. She's just really incredible. But she hasn't really been, coaching or being a therapist. And recently she told me, she was like our sessions together that, she's obviously helped me in so many ways, like incredibly, but she's also like, I've helped her, like just by like reigniting this fire. And she was like, just by the experience we've had, and now she's wants to go and help other people. And she's like, just the experience we had, now you might have helped hundreds of other people just by seeking my help. And like, I know, like when my father was passing away, there's this one woman named Karen, and I was trying to take care of my dad. I was working a full-time job, wasn't doing the best job. I was doing the best I could. She was trained in helping people pass away. And, every time she would help, I would just like try to like give her a million praises. Like, thank you so much. Like, you're really like, like she was just making my dad's transition so much easier for her. And her whole, like her energy was just like, it was giving her life too. Like helping my father pass away in a more healthy way was giving her energy. And like, I didn't even get to process that until like years after, and just like talking with Tamar and things like that. So like that just came to my mind a little bit. Thought that might be good to say. And then also like James, like Joe James, I get a little excited. Take a deep breath. So like asteroid is coming. President says it's a wrap, 24 hours. Like I have a very strong conviction that reincarnation exists. And I feel that I've lived on Earth. Actually, I was told on Earth by a person who, has said some things that are way beyond me, that I've actually lived 33,000 lifetimes in the physical. And she gave me some knowledge, and she said some things that like, it would be impossible for her to know about my personal life. I'm getting a little personal, sorry. So like that conviction of like, I have been here before. There's a purpose for me being here. I'm gonna be there again. Like if the asteroid is coming, like I've been thinking of, like I've tried to think about this a lot, and who knows the actual case, but bring the asteroid on, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is like we having this conversation for a reason, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like just because we die, like everyone has a legacy. Like for me, like every time like you say something funny and Joe Jeff laughs, like bro, that shit is like that shit means something to me. Like I love laughing. I love jokes. I love, especially in the community way. Like so this shit like, and I know I say this all the time, but like these conversations really just be like making me feel so fucking alive. Cause I've been wanting like to talk about this shit for like 10 years. So like, you know what I'm saying? So let me get back. Man, I feel like I get so excited, I lose my cohesiveness. But I'm going to, you know, throw it to anyone else. Please, what we got?
So I
Well,
did want to, Rada,
no,
please.
you go. I'll wait.
I appreciate that. So I just wanted to throw in the most basic of mattering. If we are paralyzed, I think we are still contributing carbon monoxide to the world, which is doing our part, keeping the leaves green, all that good stuff. But I just want to bandwagon the sentiment that like a lot of our purpose and why we matter is connected to other people, whether it's, you know, mentally, spiritually, we're doing physical acts. Like we can't, you know, I don't know, a lot of this, it would have to be like a desert island situation to imagine your life without nobody else around. And still, you probably be thinking about other people. You'd be reading a book somebody else wrote. You'd be, you know, so it's this connectedness. And then going back to Ian's point of like bring on the asteroid, I think that there is some like I don't say I'm like nihilistic and like, you know, but there is some like excitement and anticipation about like the spirit world and like, and just a like small glimpse of it we may get in dreams or whatever practices we have where we are out of body. And it's like, there's a whole, that's that whole other side that we know nothing about, but we kind of experience go in between. So I think I'm fascinated by those types of thoughts where it's like, because I feel like sometimes in my sleep I might travel to another dimension and see myself like, you know, same life but different players, or same players, different scenarios. So I think like the possibilities are endless in that respect.
So what I wanted to say about whether we matter or not, and what, I don't know who first brought it up if you were paralyzed, but I want to thank you, because I don't know if you have those feelings, but I know that a lot of my sense of worth and value is tied up on what I'm capable of doing, whether that's mentally, emotionally, or physically. And I know that's true because when I've had illness, I notice that I feel shame, as if I've done something wrong. Somehow I've let myself down in some way. How could this have happened to me? I know better. Okay. And even though I know all of that is just mental beating myself up, nevertheless, I do think that's very prevalent in all of humanity. And I don't want to act as if it isn't there, because part of what my life has shown me is that everything in my life is always changing. You know, so maybe I could have swam a mile 7 days a week forever and ever, and now I can only swim 2/3 of a mile. Okay. And I don't really know how that happened. In other words, I didn't do anything differently, but all of a sudden my capacity is not what it once was. So if I base my worth on that, that means I'm worth only 3/4 of what I was worth when I could swim the whole mile. And there's something about that that seems very, very wrong. Like Bill said, oh, well, if I base it on that, then I don't have any value or worth. Okay. And we know that's not true. And yet that is, I feel, something that lurks in my subconscious. I don't know about you guys. I'd like to hear if you don't have those feelings, but I know it does. And I think part of what has motivated me to go within is to find a place where none of that really matters. That it doesn't matter if I'm as strong as I was a week ago or 10 years ago or whatever. That doesn't really matter. So then what matters? What is it that really is always here, regardless of how old I am, how healthy I am, how smart I am, or whatever, qualities we admire in ourselves or other people. So I feel that's very relevant, at least it is for me, because it actually, seeing that the things that I place my value on about myself come and go, motivated me to want to know, is there anything that does not come and go? Is there any place that I can just say, well, this is always here, regardless of what's going on outside in the world or in my physical, mental body? So.
Rhoda, I like that point about things coming and going. And it's a lesson that I came to learn after my father passed away around high school. But it took some time afterwards. Like, even the best things in life have their season. There's nothing that's like guaranteed. Nothing has a definite date, an expiration date. And I think we could tie it into like where we were going in terms of, whether we're paralyzed, whether we're alone, like everything has a season, and that might just be a season for us to be still and be by ourselves. Or, we might have had our season where you're out and physically helping, and now it's time. Now you may take more of a, administrative role to other people and kind of guide them and be like overlookers. And part of it, might just be like, especially, and I'm kind of thinking like in the nature sense, is just to take in, like someone like here to just appreciate what's around us. If we're in the forest, there's so many sounds and birds and things. And whoever you may think the creator is took a long time to put this together and put it in motion. So I think a lot of times we overlook a lot of things that are right in front of our faces, and it's like, it's meant to be appreciated. It's a season where things are meant to be appreciated, then it's going to die and go away, and same thing's going to come back around.
We'll throw out last words. Anybody? You got something else you'd like to share? The time is now.
Thanks for the question.
Oh,
What you got, Joe?
my only question is, all right, what would your answers be if you didn't have a soul? There's no soul, that was it. But we out of time.
We need a segment of just Joe James giving us
Joe James questions for an hour.
Yo.
But you have to answer that first. If you want us
no.
to answer, you have to start with the answer, okay?
I don't have the answers. Like,
That's cheating.
Yeah, no.
every day just wondering. Yeah.
Well, when I believed I didn't have a soul, to me, the faster life ended, the better. So if I knew an asteroid was coming, I was saying, yeah, wow, you're putting me out of my misery. Thank you.
Wow.
That's if I didn't have a soul.
That's like the opposite, like how I would think people would be, like, because things like now it's just like life, as long as you want everything is more precious, I guess.
It depends where you're at. We're all at different places.
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm gonna cut that for now. Maybe we can talk about that more. That's a wild question, dog. I'm gonna just say that. I've never ever even began to ponder that. So you gave me something new. I guess I appreciate it. Now I'm playing. But yeah, yo, like, what can I say? Thank you guys so much. Y'all give me so much life. Thought it was a little funny moment where, so you may have noticed that me and Tamar got kicked off for a little bit. And I believe it was still recording. I hope so, fingers crossed. It's happened before. And at first I was like kind of frantic, like I was getting the connect button, the little swirly. I'm like, oh, and then I just thought of like, doesn't even matter. Like whatever. Like I really, and then yeah, and then it came back on and we were back. And all is well, love is love. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna stop the recording. If anybody's still watching this, thank you guys. Come join us. We want y'all to have these conversations as well. So oh, that's the wrong button. All right.